Ohio categories.
Right.
And there's only
Let's do it.
4 or 5. There's 5.
5.
500 pictures each.
Yeah.
That's not what he's saying.
Most of it.
5 pictures. That's very concise.
Not have more than 30.
Okay.
It's called what?
Ohio Understanding Award.
Cool.
Were there any Word docs for this, or is everything taken care of in first? Sometimes they. No, this seems to have a long.
Yeah, I don't see any.
Okay.
Going straight to the cookie already.
Yeah, I can read. You can scroll.
Yep.
You saw it. Can't.
You ready? Yeah. Who's our lights guy? Which one of these works?
So we're going to, Bob is going to read the entry description as we watch the slideshow.
Cool.
Because they've been asked to submit a little bit longer description for this story.
Will you give us the category description
Yes.
before we start that?
The Ohio Understanding Award, the James R. Gordon Ohio Understanding Award is a separate category. The concept for the completion evolves around the presentation of in-depth projects that do not fall into the standard pictured story category. Accompanying the entry should be a statement no longer than 300 words explaining the project.
What's the maximum number of photos?
There is no limit. None of these have more than 31 images, but they could have done as many as they wanted.
And this is from any photographer, not from any student, anything,
Any photographer.
Anybody, and it can be a team effort.
Oh, it's
Yes.
a team too?
It
Correct,
can be a
yes.
team.
Okay.
Good?
Yep. In 2016, Cleveland invited the world to celebrate its Renaissance. The city on the shores of Lake Erie was picked to hold the Republican National Convention. The GOP came in July to nominate Donald Trump. The Washington Post headline read, "We were promised a ride. In Cleveland, we got a block party instead." A month earlier, the Cavaliers won the city's first professional championship in 52 years. The celebration drew more than 1 million people to a downtown parade that lasted 6 hours. Then in the fall, the Indians played in the World Series. Residents were captivated and visitors learned that the city is vibrant, friendly, and affordable. Cleveland sparkled, embracing the chance to shed its mistake on the lake label. Perhaps nothing did more to bolster Cleveland's self-image than the Cavaliers winning the first NBA championship. They won on the road, coming back from a 3-0 deficit. Cavs star LeBron James leaves knowing.
Just a sec. Test.
Yes.
Yeah. Any?
The missions, Serving God and those most in need hasn't changed. That's what the Sisters of Notre Dame, Toledo Province want everyone to know. The Toledo Province was founded in 1924 and property purchased in West Toledo, where their presence has been felt ever since. That changed when the sisters moved from the home they've known for 91 years. Declining numbers and increased costs of maintaining the facility led to their decision to downsize and leave the city limits. Their final year living in Toledo was fraught with uncertainty as opposition grew to their decision to sell their property to Kroger. Between packing for their move and continuing their service, the sisters attended community, city council, and zoning meetings. Despite losing the political battle concerning their property, the sisters began moving into their new center in White House. Though their financial future is uncertain, their spiritual outlook is the same: to continue to serve God in their community. What follows is a look at the final year of the sisters' presence in West Toledo. When Phoenix looked, her hand is happy. There's no question that she's filled with joy. Her eyes light up and a wide smile fills her little face. But when frustration hits, she's often overwhelmed, her limbs thrashing and her hands fluttering as she tries to process her anger. Sometimes she curls up in a ball on the floor crying. Sometimes she bites or scratches the arms. This is Phoenix's world, full of big emotions and unexpected changes. Diagnosed with autism when she was in preschool, she is mostly nonverbal, which limits her ability to communicate. That's caused her mother, her father, and her teachers at school to abandon their perceptions of what's typical and try to see things from her point of view. Layla Cooper cartwheels across the front lawn of her grandmother Bernita Ashford's home in the Howe neighborhood of Cleveland. Her great-grandmother Rebecca Ashford in the background also lives here. Bernita Ashford, a teacher, has lived in this home for 25 years and has hung her father's flag up for years. The Howe riots in '66 cemented her devotion to the place that 5 generations of her family call home. 50 years ago, the neighborhood in Cleveland began picking up the pieces as the smoke cleared after a week of arson, shootings, vandalism, and destruction, leaving 4 people dead, dozens injured, 300 arrests, and an estimated $1.2 million in property damage. The recovery hasn't stopped since. The riots exploded from the frustration of blacks living in the overcrowded, impoverished neighborhoods. They cope with unemployment, crime, inadequate city services, deteriorating living conditions and police relations, and pervasive discrimination in housing. But as the people who live and work in this 2-square-mile pocket just east of downtown will tell you, it's significantly changed in the last 50 years. Some lifelong residents have always known their neighborhood was a diamond in the rough. They didn't think of us as an impoverished, poor, crime-ridden, drug-infested community, resident Jessica Horn said. There are such wonderful, wholesome people, and I think they have, unfortunately, had to live under that scarlet letter of the riots for so very long. The curse is over for Howe. In recent years, Howe has also seen decreases in unemployment, poverty, and crime. Rising demand for new housing, retail, and other developmental is inevitable as the neighboring Cleveland Clinic and Case Western Reserve University expand. Could Howe be the city's next big neighborhood success story? The reality is Howe has many ingredients for such a dramatic rebirth. The Alamans were the first Syrian refugees from the current crisis to land in greater Cincinnati. They were ejected from their home by missiles, tanks, and snipers. They spent months wandering from house to house, checkpoint to checkpoint. They spent years as refugees in Jordan on a waiting list for a permanent resettlement. They got a phone call that changed everything, and at 1:09 p.m. on October 20th, 2015, they landed at Cincinnati Airport in northern Kentucky. Hannah Sparling and I followed this 9-member family for a year. Marie and Alham Alamod and their 7 children, Hassan, Hussein, Dalal, Zina, Remus, Gaya, and Yusuf. We shared meals, stories, and our lives. We watched a 5-year-old girl on her first day of school and a 36-year-old mother drive a car for the first time. And we watched that same mother suffer when her father died. She came here, he stayed in a refugee camp 6,000 miles away, and they never saw each other again. We watched them struggle to learn English, and we watched them grapple with homesickness. They didn't want to come here, but now they are trying so hard to want to stay. There's stories about what happens after a war, after displacement, after resettlement. It's about searching for happiness, for hope, for home.
Guess we should just go back through them again and start, decide whether or not we want to keep it there, right?
Yeah.
Wait, are we voting?
Yeah.
Yeah, give it a, I mean, if you want to talk about it while you vote, that's fine too. But
Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
oh. Are we gonna call?
No, I was just gonna say, I think it's a nice idea to frame a story around this one, that the city is at the center of so many major news events in the year, but I think for it to really work, it needs a lot more reporting and photographing away from the events.
Plenty of major events.
Yeah, it just, you don't really get a sense of the city outside of that, and that's what's really,
Could you scroll down to the bottom?
Sure.
Yeah, the only pictures that really even starts it, kind of touching that with some of those murals, and they start to get kind of repetitious pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, this strikes me as, a nice collection of images that were sort of put together for the purpose of this category.
yeah, I'm out.
I'm out too.
We'll keep this in.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments in it that I like. The overall story, I think, gets a little muddied by some of the pictures, but I think it's still reasonably strong.
Can I see them big again?
Sure.
Just go through them quickly.
Yep.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Can we read the category description one more time?
The concept for this competition evolves around the presentation of in-depth projects that do not fall into the standard picture category.
Yeah, that's it.
There's not really
Okay.
too much said that
Yeah,
has to
that's
be.
fine. Yeah, I thought this was well done too, I thought there's some like
I'm in.
really good images.
Yeah, I'm definitely in on this. I feel like this, I mean, we've seen this, I think, and now this is a much different edit than we've seen before, and much expanded, and I think that helps it, but I think it still just seems like a lot of elements that aren't really all tying together for me.
I think it added some of the community that we said was missing before. So that helps this package a lot more. Too bad they didn't incorporate some of these other images into the original story entry in other categories.
Yeah, I really, love the story in theory, and I think some of the images are really effective. But there's some that really feel like filler to me, that pull me out. Like the portrait number 11, which is the same woman in number 9.
And I think, yeah, and maybe number 1, is that the flag too? With the same flag, I'm just guessing.
I don't know, yeah.
A lot of the portraits just seem kind of like unnecessary. No, she's not in that picture.
I think it's challenging with these sort of projects to really try to reach beyond the obvious, and have more, subtleties and sort of sophisticated storytelling. You look at 15 and 16, the two buildings, the houses, and I think that's an important point to get across, but trying to find a better way to illustrate it, something happening in the foreground.
Yeah. There were some other pictures that helped to kind of tie those two places together, because like just seeing them as individual images, it's like they still don't, I mean, they definitely don't seem like the same neighborhood to me, even if they are. I just think, you need something that helps to draw that connection a little bit more clearly.
A couple of ones that I thought were kind of redundant and too close together. Up on the first row is the guy, with his arms out and then bent over.
Yeah.
Both those pictures are not needed.
I really like the guy with the arms stretched out picture.
Mhm.
It's really great. It speaks beyond that moment. It's like an openness and like embracing of change or something.
And I like the other one. I think that's really nice. The graphic feel, and feels a little bit more candid. I think I also sometimes struggle with posed portraits in stories like this, unless there's a real distinction.
What they're being used for.
Yeah, and if it's, like every other, that it's sort of a regular, when it's like, oh, here's an environmental portrait, but then here's some candid stuff. I don't know, I would be careful mixing portraits in like this.
I love the picture of the kid riding the bike through the field, but the picture to the left of it kind of takes away from it. That I like that one, but the one before that woman,
Yeah.
that should not be in there.
And then I think that like the tennis, I really like that first picture of the girl with the tennis balls that's been in the other categories. It's like just focused, and it's kind of an odd and a nice little moment and trying to piece everything together. But I don't think you need a whole sequence from this event. I don't think the other pictures really add much to that. So yeah, I think I'm out.
Yeah, I think
So-
you can tell the photographer spent a lot of time though, and I think it's definitely worth applauding.
So how many do we award in this category? Is it one, or is it the first, second, third, HMs too?
It's like any other category at first.
Okay.
I don't know.
Eric, you're,
I want to keep it in for right now.
Like some of the issues I had with the refugee story and the feature picture story category are resolved in this wider edit of a different family. I really like getting more outside of the home and seeing them around, like, landmarks and the, where they live, and some of these kind of like rite of passage pictures, like I like love that learning to drive picture number 18. I think is really, really great, like kind of setting up the cones for like a driving course. I think is really smart. Like stepping back and giving it that breathing room is really, really good. I love the America flip flop, or the sandal there.
I like the t-shirt picture a lot.
Yeah, the t-shirts are really good too. I just think it's shot very nicely, and you get not just a sense of who the family is, but like how they actually fit into the community and how they're adjusting. And kind of as you go through the edit, they are focused more outside their home and outside their media environment. And I think that's really a thoughtful way to piece this together.
And this is a different family.
Yes.
Yeah, so the situations are different. The other family may have been more recently located
Sure.
here, and obviously this family's been here for a while, and I think
Right.
they've hired spent more time.
Mm-hmm.
And this story edit uses the canvas much more effectively, in the community. And the pacing, and the usage of the photo has a nice pace to it. You don't get bogged down in any one theme too long.
The only thing I don't really love is the book ending with the family portraits. I like that there is a thought about how to start and end the story there, like it's done intentionally, but to me, it just seems a little bit kind of forced. And that, it's like at the end picture doesn't really look much different from where they are at the beginning.
That first picture bothers me a little because of the eyes. And a couple of the kids are looking away.
But it is showing passage of time, right? Because that little kid is a lot older. A year later or something,
That's
September 25th, 2016.
That's maybe October
October
2015.
2015.
Almost a year. I feel like the rest of the edit gives the sense of like gaining comfort and branching out over time, and you don't need to lean on the portraits as bookends.
I think it's nice having one just established because it's a big family.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's also other ways you can establish that, like the walking in the park. I'm not sure if that's the whole family, but a situation where you can show everyone
Mm-hmm.
without being this little.
So it sounds like we're all in on this one.
Yeah, I'm in.
Of these four, what rises above? Somebody want to make an argument for their favorite?
I like this just because I mean, I know the category doesn't say much about like what the understanding that this offers you of the state of Ohio, but I like that it's like you get like a sense of place and where people are as opposed to just kind of being focused on one person's experiencing. I think the Phoenix story is really, really strong, and it's a great long-term project. I like getting, I guess, more of a sense of like what it actually looked like to, live in Ohio for that year, and like what it like.
Well, and that is just the name of the award. It doesn't have to be the focus of the story. The Ohio understanding. You don't have to get a
Sure, I just,
better understanding.
yeah, it's kind of hard for me to separate that.
Yeah.
So, 'cause why wouldn't it just be called the long-term project award or something like that?
For me, Phoenix is my number one choice, just because of the impact that it has, on the narrative of this person's life. The thoughtfulness and execution of all the photos, varied situations over time.
Can we see them all big again?
I kind of get a sense of understanding what it's like to, be in a situation with a kid that has this illness, this situation. In addition to just seeing what the kid is going through, I kind of see some of the support system that the parents or the family members have to provide also. The child care, the nurturing, the loving, patience also.
Yeah, I think there's some real, dramatic, tough pictures in here, which I think is important to show. I like this one.
Yeah, I like that one too.
I think a tighter edit would have helped this. Yeah, that's. I like this ending too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, this is my number one choice.
Yeah, I think those are the top two.
And I can go on record too, Finding Home would be my second choice.
Can you go through these pages one more time? It seems to me like every picture in this story is really used to advance the narrative, and there's nothing that's really repetitive. I think it's really smartly edited and paced to kind of take you through their growth in that year. And I mean, and I think the Phoenix story has a lot of really strong, dramatic, emotional pictures, but it just seems like some of the scenarios get a little bit repetitive to me, and I agree with Preston. I think a little tighter edit would help to, keep you more focused on the story and kind of just cut down some of those repetitive scenes. You kind of leave and enter the classroom, I think, 2 or 3 times, and I don't know that you need to do that.
Preston, what's your favorite?
I think it's really tough. I think they're really close and they're very different stories. Yeah, I mean, I think like Tanner said, I think it's harder to pick apart the Finding Home. But it also feels more, a little more straightforward. Yeah, I think this would be my first. Can we see him big again? Maybe a little slower. Yeah, I think she's a great character. I mean, I think she's a great person to profile. She's really compelling. And I agree with I think what Harry said, that it really does sort of make me understand a lot more. And I don't know if I would say that about a refugee family. It's not in the same way. It's tough, I don't think it has the emotional.
Yeah, they're 2 really different
Yeah,
stories.
I know.
Yeah, they are.
And they're both really well done.
Yeah, it's so hard to. Because this, I mean, it's hard to argue with the intimacy and that picture's just excellent. And she's so comfortable with the whole family's so comfortable with the photographer around, and
know, it's hard to make pictures in a grocery store.
Yeah.
I mean, there are certain places, and I think with the refugee family, there are a few, it's like, oh, that's, you know,
Mhm.
it didn't always hit a home run, and this story doesn't either, but
Yeah.
I think that there are some where it's like, wow, that's really unexpected and
Yeah.
successful.
There are a few more surprising pictures in this.
I think there are too many verticals and
Yeah.
a little bit,
I just think there are too many pictures.
but, yeah. I wanna read the, oh, okay.
I can go through this one first. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And I think we're all in agreement, this, finding home would be number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, the question is, which is third, or HM, or if there is a third or HM?
I think they should both be HMs,
Okay.
personally. I think this, I prefer this story to the other one, but I think it's still, the narrative is a little jumbled.
I think the skill level from the execution of the first 2 is so much different from these 2 that I could see not awarding the third and just going with an HM.
So what do you wanna do?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like the Sister Act should be an HM. I'm not sure about the neighborhood. To me, it drops off a fair amount from the sister story.
Quality of the shooting.
Yeah. But I'm also fine with it if you guys both feel.
I would like to give it an HM. I think not giving it, if we didn't, if we felt that it was that differently, I would argue to give the Sister Act third and this HM or equal, both of them HM, but I think they should at least get an HM. And if we give Sister Act third, that would give it enough separation
Okay.
in
I'm
the
fine with
awards.
that. Yeah, let's do
So
that.
we can kind of recognize it the proper way.
Let's do it, that's great.
Okay.
So what happened there? I wasn't paying attention.
Phoenix, first place.
Yeah, I know that, the third in the HM.
Finding Home is second, and then Sister Act and How. How, that's like
Sis-
it, are
sis-
both HMs.
Sister
No,
Act
no,
is
no,
third.
Sister Act is third.
Oh,
It's third, okay, that's what I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
and how's,
And how
HM.
is HM?
all right.
Good work, team.
No.
That big work.